best of 21 with the amount of delays we've had, the pauses, the pain, the agony, the suffering. Your mic isn't in? Oh, my mic's not plugged in. But you can probably hear me.
Well played. Well played, LDZ.
Where the hell's the cord? I've lost my mic.
So the third game is about underway in this best of 5 series. Looks like Tongfu may close it out in this next game, although it will be quite an ordeal with the amount of pauses and delays.
As you can see, we've been very professional, disciplined, focused. I have a mic now. Hello to everybody. That production value at work. Hashtags galore. But Merlini, at the end of the day, it's still Tongfu leading this best of 5, 2-0. They are one game away from punching their ticket to the grand finals of the Dota 2 Super League. And they start with a Shadow Demon first pick. And I feel Orange have to pick Anti-Mage,
oh, shit, it is
but
Anti-Mage.
don't want to because now Tongfu is Shadow Demon. Or at least have to think twice about it.
Well, no AM.
And Tongfu, they knew Orange would have to decide, and they probably wanted them to pick it. I imagine they have something up their sleeve here.
Anti-Mage is such a strong hero. It's ridiculous how well these Eastern teams utilize him. But I guess we might see a Mushi Anti-Mage. Finally. Finally.
I wasn't embarrassed. I was just very confused about where my microphone cord was. But that's neither here nor there. Just chatting with the Twitch chat. What do they go for? I feel like maybe a Rubik. Well, no, they'll go
Pretty
Dark
strong
Sphere.
opener. I like this.
It is, of course, if you're Tongfu, you start banning supports now.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of flexibility. The Shadow Demon is by and far, in my opinion, at least, just way too good with Anti-Mage. Everyone else is, decent, but they're no Shadow Demon. Just because 5 AM is extremely powerful. You think 3 AM is powerful? Shadow Demon with them is insane.
Forget about it.
The defensive capability of those two heroes combined is absolutely ridiculous. He's almost guaranteed to get like a 20-minute Battle Fury if your players are competent. So
there's a Life Stealer in the pool, by the way.
Yeah,
Tongfu hasn't been playing.
Gets owned by Anti-Mage though, unless you do an aggressive triple lane. And the problem with aggressive triple lanes is that we've seen most of them fail.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. They'll go Dragon Knight instead. They get a nice initiating stun. He can also pressure that mid lane. He can be a part of a pretty early push strategy. Shadow Demon's not really the best pushing support, but he's still a good laning support. And if they get some kills early, could look to push. If you're Orange, do you start banning the junglers here? Things like the Chen.
It depends on what you're scared of. So there's a couple ways to deal with Anti-Mage. Firstly, I think you need to ban a Shadow Demon. That is step 1 to winning against Anti-Mage. Step 2, you can do quite a few different strategies. You can either just secure his farm and make sure the other team doesn't have better late game. They've done that with I guess banning out Spectre right now. They'll probably ban out like Gyrocopter or something really strong later. Or I guess Alchemist is already banned out by Tongfu. So that's part of step 2. Also, you can't get pushed. You can't lose your towers early, and you can't force AM to farm in 25% of the map when he could be farming with 60% of that, maybe even 70 with both Ancients. That's really where you want to be with Anti-Mage. So again, you can't get pushed, and you can't lose just by their late game being simply better than yours hero comp wise, and they're doing that with the bans right now. And Enchanter is also good at taking out their towers later. She's not particularly good at killing Anti-Mage early, but with those creeps, they can maybe take a tower down in 2 or 3 minutes.
And of course, Impetus is actually really strong.
That
for
pure damage.
Yeah, Spell Shield ignored, the high armor that Anti-Mage has ignored. I actually think it's a better ban than the Chen, and Tongfu will remove the Chen anyway. So no obvious jungle choices. Tongfu, I think just knowing what Extinct is able to do on the hero. Also, if you have Hand of God, and also a very strong defensive hero. You have Hand of God, you have Surge. It makes it hard to actually blow up the Anti-Mage. So they remove one of the stronger defensive supports that remains. Sand King was banned out as well. We've seen Orange turn to this hero quite a bit. I think the most common support available is the Rubik.
Rubik, yep. Rubik's really good, especially if you get Dragon Tail. Oh my goodness.
They could steal Disruption, and then it's actually a pretty easy spell to steal as well.
Right.
And then if they steal that, 5 AM cometh all the same.
Plus Illusion Runes, plus Refresher. Wait, Refresher, you can't refresh Manta. But, there you go.
I'll go Rubik. I mean it's pretty standard.
There's not too many good supports left in the pool. Nyx already banned out. Chen and Enchantress already banned out. Visage already banned out. There's still Jakiro, but again, Rubik is just one of the most stable supports if you can't get Shadow Demon.
Tongfu, they don't have their hard carry. The Gyro is in the pool. If they wanted to do something old school, well, not old school, but something from a couple of months ago and just trade farm, they could go for Keeper of the Light Phantom Lancer here, because you look at Orange, they're probably not going aggressive. Maybe you get greedy on your own.
Then they can
have
just cleave
Shadow
it
Demon.
down with Anti-Mage, though. The thing about Anti-Mage is I think he actually does out-carry a PL if you have slightly better farm than Anti-Mage.
He's definitely better at just fighting.
Right.
Anti-Mage will just straight up beat a PL 1v1 unless the PL's ahead.
And I mean, obviously you need Battle Fury, but if again, we saw a lot of Anti-Mage plus Magnus combos pre 6.78. Magnus, of course, has fallen off a little bit, but he's already really strong damage output with Battle Fury. Combine that with Empower, he just owns those juxtaposed illusions. But PL not really a problem. Haven't seen him picked.
I think the biggest thing about this draft for me when I look at it from Orange's perspective is their offlaner has versatility. Because last game we saw Windrunner get zoned out of the lane, maybe could have done some cute tree shenanigans like you pointed out and hidden in the trees with Power Shot, but end of the day, there's only so much Windrunner can do against a strong defensive tri-lane. Darkseer, a lot more options. Can go into the jungle, can get easier farm off of that off lane, harder to kill, and so I really like that pick, and I think it shores up their draft quite a bit. Weaver will be the choice here from Tongfu.
Yep, Orange might actually run a Darkseer mid. We saw them run it in Game 1 of this series versus Howl's, was it Howl? I believe it was Howl's Storm Spirit. Although he did pretty decent on DS, I don't really like Darkseer too much in the mid lane, especially if he isn't able to utilize the creep pools, given they were dire that time and they are dire this time, so we might not see. I mean, you can pull the southernmost camp, it's like the level 4 camp, but it's pretty difficult and you have to have practice on it a lot, but I think it's just much easier on the Radiant.
Yeah, it is. He was actually, I think at times he was trying to steal that Radiant small camp, but I mean the problem was that he's up against a really well-played Storm by Moo. Moo ended up out-CSing him as a Storm mid against Darkseer, and I think the skill build helped out a lot as well. Getting 2 early points in Remnant makes it easier to last hit the creeps, also discourages the Darkseer from diving with his own hero. Well, Tongfu have gone Weaver, and if they want to contest this anti-mage, they have a Shadow Demon Weaver. They would probably want a Jakiro,
They tried this
Alina.
the first game, I believe. Yeah, they tried this the first game, though.
No, that was Orange that did that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Now
yeah.
Tongfu are going to show them how it's done. Or maybe.
These teams confused. So I think they could do a Darkseer vid. I think he's very good versus Dragon Knight. I mean, he has armor, but that does not help versus Ion Shell, and Darkseer almost, like, certainly is going to win in a melee versus melee matchup.
They get the stronger laning support, Orange do. Obviously, you probably want a combo hero for the Rubik. They get the long-range partner for Darkseer as well. Vacuum into Ice Path is very potent. But what I like about this is Jakiro can sit really far back. Now they have 2 supports that can. Rubik and Jakiro don't need to be anywhere near the creeps in order to help the anti-mage. If Tongfu go in on him, an easy Rubik lift. Say you have Alina here for Tongfu as their 4th pick. You just lift Alina after the disruption, anti-mage blinks away, engagement is over. So, and I think with the Jakiro pick, they can disengage very safely from distance. So I like this pick a lot.
One thing I like about Orange's draft so far is that they didn't actually take Sand King second. Sure, Net plays a fantastic Sand King, but it just didn't really work too well in their lineup. And I think taking a step back and going with really passive and well-established supports and Rubik and Jakiro may lend to a much better early and mid game for them.
It all comes down to the Mushi anti-mage in this game. Orange are on the ropes, make no mistake about it. If you're just tuning in, it's Game 3 of a best-of-5, and Tongfu have already notched 2 wins onto their belt. They're 1 win away from going to the Grand Finals, where Team DK is waiting, and Tongfu go for a Sven.
Ooh.
They go for a hero that I generally hate to see as a support. Is it a farming Sven? I mean, it could be. Shadow Demon Sven Lina would be quite a strong tri-late. Orange already have their supports. Can't really be denied from picking it. Is Lina this final choice for Tongfu? It seems like the obvious one.
That would be
could
pretty
be a
good.
Leshrac
They could
as
do
well.
Leshrac, right? Leshrac, I think it works pretty well in their lineup too, just because I think they do have the push potential with the Dragon Knight, with the Sven Warcry. They could take a lot of towers down early. I would much prefer Sven in the Sven as the carry in the triple lane as opposed to Weaver. Weaver, I mean, is he really going to die versus Rubik, Jakiro, anti-mage? Most likely not, but he might get zoned out.
I guess they'll probably run a safe lane Weaver against Darkseer. That
Oh,
would
yeah,
be my
that's true.
guess. And then you'd
Aggressive
have
try.
Yeah, and then I guess you go aggressive tri-lane. Sven, Shadow Demon +1. And Orange ban the Lina, but that leaves the Leshrac. And for Tongfu, if they want to go aggressive, they'll pick that up here. If they don't, Weaver can't really offlane against what Orange have. I mean, he might not die early, but Anti-Mage can zone Weaver out very easily with just a decent start.
Right, and having all his mass stuns is especially good versus Orange's line, who don't really have any natural BKB heroes. Anti-Mage gets it sometimes, and we saw Darkseer get it once.
You say that, but all the Asian Darkseers are going BKB after the mech. It's kind of odd, but I guess it's because of these stun-heavy lineups.
Right, but I like how Tongfu had a lot of physical damage to deal with the Anti-Mage. If you go a 2 magic-heavy lineup, Anti-Mage says fuck magic, and he just, ooh, Lifestealer last pick.
Wow, they pick up a Lifestealer. Are they going to try and force Tongfu to fight them in a try versus try situation here? I guess it could be a Lifestealer mid. Actually, that's probably what it is.
Versus the Dragon Knight?
Yeah, because it's something that LGD International have done a lot, and G has just been
I think Lifestealer could
crushing.
own the triple lane. Not own the triple lane, but I also feel like he could. They don't have any instant stuns.
Against well, yeah, I guess assuming Weaver's
Sven?
not there. If Weaver's in the tri lane, that could throw a wrench into the plans here. So there are some matchup questions as to how this is going to shake out.
returns.
And they now go for basically, it could be, well, it looks like a support Sven, the reviled support Sven. I would love to see a win rate stat for support versus carry Sven. It's not easy to dig it up, but I reckon that it's pretty low compared to carry Sven.
He has to be really careful about not giving Rubik the Stormbolt. And again, just like Saiyan King last game, he really always has to cast Sandstorm right after the Burrow Strike. You really have to cast Warcry immediately after a Stormbolt, because Rubik with Stormbolt is a sight to behold, especially with a Darkseer on your team.
Oh
and
my
Jakiro.
god, vacuum into Stormbolt
Right, it
into
could be very,
Macropyre
very
Ice
scary.
Path. Yeah.
They had to make sure not to give him that at all costs.
And the one thing is, it's a mobile lineup for Orange. Sometimes you have to pop Warcry to chase. And if you do that, then you don't have it to cast after the Stormbolt. But this is all theory crafting. Let's introduce our Malaysian sensations. On the dire side, you've got RNG Sports Ohio. Journeys to the bottom lane is an off lane. Looks to be a solo Darkseer for the time being. Mushi playing the anti-mage. It appears he's actually headed mid. We'll talk about that more in a second, Merlini, but KYXY on the Lifestealer. Also with a Stout Shield. Maybe he's going mid too. We'll have to see who ends up actually going there. Net, support Jakiro. Could make some big plays. Extinct on one of his signature heroes. It's the Rubik. Looks like he bought quite a bit for his team, pulling that anti-mage heavily. On the Radiant side, we've got Tongfu. They are not the most popular team in China, although they certainly have a stable fan base, but they have been delivering as of late. They might be the strongest team in the Chinese scene right now. Song Sheng will be handling this Sven. It will be a support Sven. How? On the carry Weaver, Mu going to be taking his talents on that Dragon Knight to the mid lane. King J of the legendary, the ancient 2010 eHome squad that won pretty much more championships than anyone ever will in 1 year again. And last but not least, Banana on the Shadow Demon. That's Tongfu. They lead the best of 5, 2-0. They need one more win in the next 3 games to move on to the Grand Finals.
So looking at this, they already 5-man top Tongfu has, and they've already dropped the Sentry Ward. So looks like the pool will be delayed a little bit. I'm checking their inventory right now. It looks like Net does have Sentry Wards as well as Observer Wards inventory. So hopefully they can deward this and get some experience up and running for them. So it will be an aggressive triple lane from Tongfu. We actually see again, Sven, Shadow Demon, and Winner. But Sven already picked up an Invis rune. He's going to head mid.
This is an anti-mage mid. They are not killing him, even unless
he could be like super greedy and not pick up Blink first, but that's.
I mean, even then,
he has poor man
he'd have to like blink forward or like just charge forward into their tower to die. There's just not enough damage.
I mean, he could try and trade a lot of harass with a melee versus melee. I do see that sometimes, especially with a Dragon Knight, he'll just try and tank it because he has more natural regen. He can be a little bit more efficient about his use of gold. But Sven, deciding that that prospect is probably very low chance of succeeding, decides to head top.
So for Orange's tri-lane, the one interesting thing here is Lifestealer can't really be the initiator if they want to make a go on anybody, which I doubt they will, because it's a Windrunner with a Shadow Demon backing her up. Not an easy kill, but if they want to, it's probably got to be the Rubik or the Jakiro who initiates. That could put them in harm's way, so I imagine Orange just try to play this defensively. Even if they get out-farmed, I think they'll be okay with that. It's more just about holding onto the tower, not giving up kills early. End of the day, Mushi's a solo mid anti-mage. He is going to farm well against Dragon Knight. Anti-mage in general does pretty well against most melees 1v1.
So checking out the last sentence of the Nice, looks like Mushi is on top on the anti-mage with 6 and 2, tied with the Weaver on the bottom lane. Speaking of the bottom lane,
oh, he sees a courier, he blinks in, he's gonna snipe it.
Oh boy.
Mushi, big plays off the bat, and all of a sudden RNG Sports get a shot in the arm.
Luckily, Mu already has his bottom. I'm checking the gold of supports right now. Looks like neither of them have 220 gold right now, so
That is just
Tough break.
That's a mistake you have to know that's possible because Queen of Pain is a common solo mid, and whenever you're laning against that hero, you have to just make sure your bottle's delivered out of range or out of sight. And while Mu makes a costly mistake, maybe he thought the supports were going to upgrade it, but they did not have gold from the looks of it.
Yeah. Yeah, Anti-Mage's level 1 Blink is much stronger than Queen of Pain.
That's true. The range is way longer, and maybe that's what did Mu in.
I have seen a Puck just snipe a lot of bottles mid too. So again, a couple of the mid heroes you really have to watch out for. I guess you don't really expect that to happen with Anti-Mage, but still not a good early game for Tongfu. But Hao is getting pretty good farm about 10-3 compared to Darkseer's 10-1. He's well on his way to Soul Ring.
Mushi, it doesn't look like he's going for the bottle build yet, and I kind of like that because he can basically make sure that Mu's never allowed to leave the tower. If you keep him out of mana, he actually leaps forward just to the last hit.
Gotta get that last hit.
Got him. Top lane, we've had an initiation though. Disruption on Extinct. Now a power shot, not gonna latch, and this could maybe be... Well, no, sorry, there's no ice path, so there won't be a turnaround.
There's also no open wounds yet on KYXY.
Level 2 has gone. I guess he really needs the feast. There is a lot of harassment. Constant auto text from King J.
I think that's a pretty smart pick. You definitely need the rage, though. You can't get by in this triple lane without having rage.
Yeah, your team doesn't have a Shadow Demon. You have a Rubik, which is a nice hero to disengage, but it's not as reliable as Disruption. So Merlini, with the bottle snipe underway, Orange now lead by about 1,000 gold. They trail in terms of experience, but only slightly at that. They're getting farm on an Anti-Mage. They are getting some farm on a Lifestealer, and they're not dying. I feel like this game is going fantastically for them. And if they keep this up, they're in great shape.
Definitely. And they're able to use this creep pull, too. That is huge. That will give them, hopefully, a slight experience boost, too. But I'm checking the experience graph right now. It's actually going in favor of Tongfu right now. And I think that probably just has to do with denies and some of the heroes being melee and whatnot. But, again, KYXY finding pretty good farm.
Yeah, and so, too, is Ohio in the off lane. He's 18-2. He's farming a little bit better than this Weaver, albeit he's taking a lot more harassment. In comes Hao. He doesn't have a point in the swarm, otherwise could go for a kill here, maybe. There is one surge, but it could at least drive him back. King J takes some harassment top lane. Both heroes competing for
Ohio
the
on
top
bottom,
room.
oh my goodness. He was saving his surge.
It looks like poor Mu was thinking about heading towards the top rune, or did he just go to place a ward? I'm not sure, but either way, that was foiled, and it was the Sven who ended up taking that last rune.
I'm actually surprised that Hao did not take one level swarm. I feel that, again...
Oh no, it's a DD bottom, so hasn't been taking it.
I talked about this before, but again, one skill point in Gen attack is usually sufficient to serve you for maybe the first 10 minutes of the game. It's only 1 second cooldown for 1 point, and I think that with the swarm, he would have been able to kill Ohio. That Ohio was down to around 40 HP after the Geminate attack.
The thing is, even though you have Surge, along the lines of what you're saying, you could just chase him in Sakuchi, and you don't come out of it until Surge ends. And then you can kill him, because Surge has a pretty long cooldown at level 1. 12 seconds,
especially
only
with Ohio not going the level 2 Surge build that we see most Darkseers go.
Yeah, that's kind of, honestly, it's a weird thing to say, because it's just one skill point, but it's actually a greedy build to take a point in Surge this early against a powerful laning hero like Weaver. That being said, Ohio's manning up, and Hao is being driven back. He's got 7 stick charges. He's going to make a go here. No, he still doesn't have a point in the swarm. Meanwhile, top lane, action heats up. It's Rage from KYX. They brought King J low. There's your Stormbolt. They disengaged, but Banana has been isolated. He could get picked off even through the Warcry armor. It won't be sufficient. It looks like Darkseer barely escapes bottom while that was happening.
And this early phase boost pick up by the Lifestealer really putting the pressure on.
Also, I want to point out that the Dragon Knight was driven back to base by Mushi. 35
King J
top lane, more action. King J's been caught out. He'll get picked off. The Lifestealer tri lane really starting to get things done. Song Shung does have boots and a salve. Will barely survive. RNG Sports, dare I say it, Merlini, they are winning 3 lanes. Darkseer slightly out-farming Weaver bottom. Anti-Mage crushing mid and killed the bottle. And tri-lane, 2-0 now there. RNG Sports, their first good start of this series.
Yeah, they're definitely getting onto a much better start than the first 2 games. But, I mean, this is the power of Lifestealer. It's just extremely difficult to lose a defensive triple lane with him. You even have the potential to win aggressive triple lanes, but I don't understand why this hero has fallen off from top tier. He didn't even skill open wounds until level 3, so it's not like the open wounds nerf is really that big of a deal to him. But
that's his way. That's his way of dealing with the nerf. Just skip the ability entirely.
Don't need it.
Yeah, screw that ability. It sucks.
So, I mean, yeah, they definitely are winning all 3 lanes right now. KYXY is being really, really scary.
They lead by 2.5k gold, 1,000 experience. It's all about Mushi for me, though, because he's the lead farmer, and you look at Tongfu, I guess they have decent ganking potential, but I feel they need items to do it. Like, particularly a Shadow Blade on the Dragonite is going to be important to be able to gank Mushi reliably. Otherwise, you rely on things like Shackle Shot. Stormbolt doesn't have the best range. And even though it follows Mushi after he blinks, if he gets a blink off while it's traveling towards him, it might be too hard to follow up. I feel like it's not the best lineup to gank an anti-mage, which is where Mushi having a good start could really cause them problems.
I feel like they could potentially pressure some towers, though. I mean, Weaver isn't going to be able to like straight up kill them in a gank, but I feel like with a continued siege push and a forced 5-on-5, they could possibly get a couple kills out of that. But I mean, most Weavers just farm until maybe 10-15 minutes in until they make a move. But
mid lane, Anti-Mage did level up Disruption, and Mushi gets Dragon Tailed. He's lost all his mana. He's not going to die off of this, I don't think, even through the body block. He maxed the mana break to just punish that Dragonite as we actually miss a kill bottom. Sorry about that, folks, but Ohio did go down. Nice rotation from the Sven. But by maxing mana break, he has made the Shadow Demon a whole lot stronger against him, and maybe something that Mushi will regret over the next couple of minutes.
So Tongfu finally getting on the board, and I like how the Sven rotated bottom. They weren't getting anything accomplished up top. They were already down 2 kills to 0. KYXY pretty much having free farm in the lane, and they need to make something happen in the other 2 lanes. Attempted getting on Anti-Mage will slow down his farm a little bit, forcing him back to base. And then the rotation south by Sansheng, picking up a kill on Darks here, so important in giving Weaver that early good start.
Because if Ohio gets an early mech, then they can 4v5 really effectively. It's going to be hard for Tongfu to actually find kills.
He just blinks in.
Mushi,
he's not scared.
Man mode. Mu gets off the stun, but he's out of mana now, and this is becoming a real issue for him, because even when his lane gets ganked, he may not have mana to kill Mushi. If he can't get the stun off, they're not going to bring him down, and even with max breathe fire, Ice Path mid lane, if that had connected, they might have looked for a kill. Now the Invis Rune gets popped. They're going to make another go. Banana in the back lines. He's got a smoke. I don't know if they'll even use it. Dragon Tail's available. As soon as he popped his ult, he scared the ever-living crap out of Mushi.
He does have the THD back up there too, which is the strange part, but Tongfu has 3 heroes in the middle. There's smoke behind. They drop in Reservoir Wars to get vision up the hill.
Oh, Banana, he's walked a little bit too close. He's going to reveal the smoke.
Oh, I feel, yeah.
I needed to be a little more patient there. Just you go down in the river
especially
like that,
when you don't have
really
boots.
hard. Yeah, maybe. I guess the problem if Songcheng leads the gank is then you Stormbolt and he just blinks to the tower, and you can't really tower dive him this early.
Right. Regardless, how getting free farm bottom, I mean, we haven't seen too much of him this game, but I think that even though Orange is a little bit ahead, they could easily turn around with some nice Weaver play.
It's going to come down to Tongfu
Mushi stuns
moving.
in the middle.
It does get stunned mid lane. There's your chain stun. The Stormbolt as well. But Ice Path, there's your easy disengage. That's why Net was waiting mid. Now a back, a lift up, and Mu is going to be the one who falls. The Ion Shell will burn him to bits. Mushi wants the kill. He realizes taking it would be a bit risky. Might cost him his own life. And this was something that you, I think rightfully so, critiqued for Orange in that game where they had Shadow Demon as well as Shadow Priest, was they didn't protect Mushi. He got picked off once when maybe he didn't need to be. This time around, they were prepared with heroes in the lane, and the gank fails.
Yes, indeed. Mushi being a little bit greedy right now, only sitting at 400 HP with no life regeneration left. He did get a healing salve on him from one of the supports. But
what is this quad lane mid? They have a disruption for Banana. He'll pop it now. That's going to take Mushi out of the fight. But a vac back in brings Banana low. Net's caught in an awkward position. In comes Ohio from the backside. And now How on the chase. And a pause again. Ooh, my goodness.
That pause.
These pauses.
Yeah, there's been a lot of heroes in the middle right now, and they dropped a Sentry Ward, so they will have vision of how. I don't know if he's going to die right now. I wonder if any items coming to him on Chicken, though. He had pretty much free farm bottom for the most part, especially after the Darkseer died, but he still looked to be a little bit bored. Power tries Aquila. Oh, he does have a bottle coming on Chicken, I believe. Let me double check to make sure that is his. Yes, it is. So that is where the missing gold has gone. I mean, he's a top farmer right now. 53 last hits for him.
The anti-mage, actually the lead net worth, though, is the lifestealer, and that's my one concern right now for Tongfu, is KOXY is just sitting top and farming, and yes, they're getting some farm on King J, but they're not getting as much, and you're farming a hero that uses the farm better. This lifestealer could do a lot of work, and once he comes into the fights, that's where anti-mage can just go into AFK farming mode, and I think this lifestealer is going to be big enough that there's no demonic purge, there's only a level 1 disruption. I feel like he can do a lot of work, and Mushi will have free farm at that point.
And I'm trying to think about Life Stealer bombs. Could they really do one with the anti-mage? I mean, I think
Maybe the Darkseer. Just surge in and hope you don't get chain stun.
Oh yeah, hoping's always a good thing.
Here's your unpause, and now Hal lifted up. He's been caught. Mushi doesn't bring him down. That kill actually goes to Ohio, but he brought him low. Ohio trapped under his own tower. He surges away. The Storm Ball chases him. Nuh-uh, Sanchung says. You're going down.
Yeah, Weaver actually was not able to get his time lapse off. The THA was able to get his Ice Path right before he died, but he has 6 charges on the Magic Wand and Agility Treads. I think that if he were in Strength Treads, he could have lived until the until the Ice Path was over and possibly escaped with his life there. But a decent trade for or a decent trade right there. 1-1.
Yeah, pretty even. I guess the big thing is Tongfu got a little more experience out of that.
But if they get a tower out of this, it's definitely...
Mushi wants to deny it. The Ice Pad catches 2. It's going to be enough. Net, what a player this one. Vacuum back on the Mu. Lifted up, and now KYXY is going to join the fight. He actually chases down Mu. I think should have been going for somebody else. Now Mushi blinks forward. There's your open wounds. Despite the disrupt, it's not going to matter. Mushi, though, dying to his own illusions. Blocked in. He's got the magic stick. He pops it. He blinks away. 2 Shadow Poison ticks. Dropping him low. Is he going to fall? He won't. The spell shield keeps him safe. Whew, that was close for Mushi, but in the end, just not enough damage.
Yeah, and as soon
what
as
a play by
Lifestealer
Net
joins the fight, and they are starting to get destroyed. They did lose a tower, but it did get denied. Nice Ice Path there by the THE. He is having some very nice ones.
I think for KYXY, if he had just gone straight on the Shadow Demon there, might have been able to get even another kill after that, but he used a lot of that surge chasing the Dragon Knight and wanted to ensure the kill. Played it safe, which is certainly fine. And yeah, now that he joins the fight, Mushi, I think this is where he goes into AFK farm mode. He'll try to get a Battle Fury by maybe the 18-20 minute mark, and even though it's not the fastest time, the thing is Lifestealer has had such a good start that it can be a later anti-mage Battle Fury, and I think Orange can still fight quite effectively 4v5.
Right, and I mean, he already has most of his race car build complete. I mean, he has a haste already, phase drums, and the drums of endurance up.
And they want to gank him. Bottom lane, how's gonna, well, at least defend this lane, I should say. It looks like no gank intended. They were smoked up mid, but an absolute network of sentries and observers from Orange will keep them safe. The support play for Orange has really been on the ball. Top lane, they just chose the right moments to initiate with slight creep equilibrium advantages and snowballed those fights from there. Speaking of that support play, they're going to rotate bottom, but they also have had great observer and sentry wards just to ensure that Tongfu doesn't get too cute, being prepared for the Weaver as well. That's allowed them to bring him down when otherwise, perhaps, Hao survives. And then they go. Surge, lift by Extinct, and now pulled back into a nice path. That is what you call teamwork, ladies and gentlemen. And down he goes. Tongfu reeling in game number 3. They need to take at least one more of the next 3, or they will end up losing to Orange. But it's a long road. It's a long road for Orange. First, they got to take this game. It's looking good, though. It's looking very good.
Yep, tower trade. First, Tongfu Mu will get the tower on top, and it looks like this bottom tower will go uncontested after that Weaver. He did have strength stretch that time, but for heroes, damage was too much for him to handle.
And the mech is probably coming fairly soon for Ohio. He's got the headdress. Actually, he's already got the mech. 14 minutes in, he was farming pretty well in bottom lane. He's come to a lot of fights, but the tower gold and then the fact that they're up 8-3, and he is 2-2-4 has made the difference. That's a fast mech, and then now they can really 4v5. With a mech advantage over Tongfu, who only have a headdress on their Windrunner, this is going to be very tough.
I like this drums pickup from the Dragon Knight. They need some sort of small items to get them into this mid-game phase, and they don't really have a...
They've just gotten the mech. We could have a clash here. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, and I mean, they don't have a mech up on the Windrunner. Ooh, there's
Shackle to fly, not going to latch. Ohio, remember, he's got a mech. Stormbolt's going to chase him. Almost catches 2. It doesn't, though, and now the Ice Path comes through. Can he pop this mech in time? He can't. What a ridiculous initiation. Now Net could be cut off. He's going to go down to Hao. Tongfu, I don't know how they found those kills. That was an insane closing distance. Yet somehow they did, and that's exactly what the doctor ordered for them.
And very nice play by Hao right there. He actually circled... Ooh, he just popped his regen and got it taken off by Extinct.
Yeah, he's stolen. That's such a good spell to steal. This is going to be very annoying for Tongfu.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the fight, Hao actually circled back around. He was over here. He... I can't ping for some reason. He was over here, and he actually found a Life Stealer at like relatively low HP, around 2/3, and was able to Shikuchi swarm on him, force him to rage TP out, and then after that, Orange just forced a turn tail and run, and they were able to pick off a couple of free kills because they weren't 5 strong.
You know, Lifestealer, that's the one thing Orange are a tiny bit lacking in. They have Rubik Lift, they have Ice Path, but they don't have great lockdown. A lot of it comes down to what the Rubik steals. And you mentioned stealing Stormbolt. That would be important. Dragon Tail or even Disruption. Even Shackle Shot, I feel, would help a lot. But he'll need to look to steal these disables, not just things like Sakuchi
How is
for those
danger
clashes.
on bottom again? Two of these supports are sitting around there.
Is he, though? He's very defensively tucked behind these trees, but Net, under cover of Sakuchi, deploys a Sentry Ward. Now Hao knows something up. Mushi is going to be on one side, and on the other is Extinct. He throws him up into the Ice Path and out. The back window, he'll go down. Easy kill there. Now Mu, open wounds mid lane. In goes KYXY, dropping fast. Defensive disruption might put an end to this game. KYXY, he wanted to go for the Infest kill, I believe, but he gets stunned. He can't even get it off. Now he surged away. That's a Phase Drum's Lifestealer, though. Dives you at the tower, tanks 16 billion spells, and then walks away anyway, without even using Infest.
That was really close for Moon right now. For example, if he had gone Shadow Amulet right there, which is about the same cost, he would have died. That extra bit of HP.
He's just popped. I think he just popped his Infest. He didn't get any HP off of that. The real fight breaks out now. King J taking a lot of damage. Ohio's there. Mushi not going to get the kill. He just has not really been able to last hit these, but still working towards his Battle Fury. Having a mech is making this game so hard for Tongfu. Orange can just keep on taking fight after fight after fight. And when they don't want to, they just drop Ice Path, they pop Rage, they blink and they surge, and they get, or even Sakuchi, and they get away.
Yep, so Orange decides to back off after that engagement in the middle. Again, I mean, Mushi's been doing a fantastic job on Anti-Mage. 1-0-6 right now. He doesn't have his Battle Fury, but I feel like he has a huge early and mid-game presence, something that we don't typically see of anti-mages. He's been there for the necessary fights. He's narrowly escaped death. He's like baited Tongfu into overextending a couple times. Fantastic play by him so far.
And now on the back of that play, as well as the team effort that we've seen from Net and Extinct, the supports, they now lead by about 4,500 gold, close to 5,000 experience. In fact, call it 5,000 experience now. They are really cruising in game number 3. Orange, is this the beginning of an epic comeback? It starts
Orange
to
is
feel like
behind in towers too. That's what's so surprising about this huge gold difference. They only have one tower down, the T1 tower on bottom, and meanwhile Tongfu has managed to take out the T1 on top and the T1 on bottom. So they're still so far ahead in gold when they're down on towers. That is something that you don't see very often.
The towers are a bit lacking. I guess the nice thing for Orange is I think they'll be much more vigilant about defending these tier 2s and the tier 1 bottom if it comes to that. They'll smoke up. They'll rotate towards the mid lane. It's 18 minutes and the regen rune will spawn bottom. Extinct currently has, I believe that's Wind Run. Not really the best spell, but he'll look to steal something bigger. And while that's happening, Tongfu, they execute a smoke gank of their own. But Mushi playing it safe, playing keep away. He'll head back towards his own jungle. And the Battle Fury is going to be there soon. Broadsword on the floor, just needs about another 200 gold. And if Tongfu don't kill him now, oh no, Hao's been caught in the jungle, into an Ice Path. I don't think they have the burst. Yes, they do. The vacuum was saved for the last second, and that max vacuum does the trick. Every single one of Orange's ganks seems to be working, and for Tongfu, they've been thwarted at nearly every corner.
Right, these supports from Orange are just playing phenomenally right now. They're always sticking together, which is the main thing.
Oh, they tried to bait Extinct, but unfortunately, he's going to get the lift off anyway. They throw King J straight up and down. Ice Path is there. Even through a mech, he'll take a fall. Now Sang Shung on the run. Can he get out? He storm bolts. It only catches Net. They spread at the last possible second. Hao wants to chase. There's your war card. I don't think they should fight into this. This could be a huge mistake. There's still a mech on Ohio. And back goes Extinct. He runs in, he lifts, and he stuns Banana. He's been picked off. Orange Esports are snowballing. They're rolling down the hill in game number 3. Sangsheng to fall. Now on to Mu. He could be next. Backs back in. The Ice Path narrowly to miss. Stuns the Anti-Mage. Still is running. KYXY says, let's dive him. Let's take this fight to the base. Let's take this party to Tongfu's doorstep. And they will bring him down. That's 4 heroes dead. An absolute train wreck of a performance here for Tongfu in these crucial clashes. And now Hao, well, he just watches as Orange walk away. I don't even want to look at the gold graph, but I will. And that is just not a good sign for Tongfu.
Who needs Battle Fury on Mushi? I mean, he doesn't have it right now, but I mean, they are just steamrolling Tongfu right now. Just excellent play by these supports. They're always finding the telekinesis into Ice Path and just picking one off every time those 2 cooldowns are up. And they aren't very long cooldowns at all, and they're just falling like flies.
And the worst part is Mushi has been joining the fights, and I mentioned, 18 to 20 minute Battle Fury. He's got it. Oh no, not again. Not again, Hao. Not again. He can't afford to keep on doing this. Just overextends mid, gets caught by 5 heroes. He shouldn't be past the river there. I mean, there's really no reason for that to happen.
Right, I feel like
I think
he
they're
needs
just
more
pressing
HP.
now. I think they just feel a little desperate at this point.
I mean,
And
he's
I guess they
scrambling
should.
for farm. He's scrambling for farm, and Rubik like almost always has a good spell now. He has Shikuchi, and I think he was thinking about sealing Stormbolt earlier, but does he really need it? We see a smoke from Tongfu, desperately trying to get back in this game.
5 hero smoke. They need to make something happen. Moo's going to lead the way. Can he get a Dragon Tail on KYXY? Even if he does, the chain stun must be perfect in KYXY. He's gotten off this rage. He walked back towards the creep for a second there. I think he might go down, but in comes the Ice Path. Catches 2. Now the back. The wall is deployed, and Mushi jumps in, head full of steam, looking for a Mana Void. He nails it. Moo is going to fall. That's GG. Tongfu tap out, and they do it quickly. Orange Esports are forced to game 4. And if they win that one, we go to a deciding game 5.
My goodness.
It's like somebody on Orange gave them a pep talk.
The power of Life Stealer, though, I think that just really threw a wrench into Tongfu's plans.
Yeah, picking that hero as your tri-lane farmer, they were
That
really
was last pick.
they were clearly expecting an anti-mage defensive tri-lane, and they're like, we pick Windrunner, we get Shadow Demon, anti-mage can't take Mana Burn, or he'll just be destroyed by Disruption, so he can't harass us, he can't really approach the creep wave without getting harassed by Windrunner. We're going to crush Mushi, we'll shut him down in the tri-lane, but the Lifestealer pick and the Dragon Knight solo mid, again we see he is very vulnerable to certain anti-melee specific counters. Anti-mage, we saw the Slark, the Kunkka. As good as this hero is in the mid game, he's not infallible in those 1v1 mid.
Right, and people have been shying away from the traditional solo mids. I haven't seen Store or Queen of Pain mid in a while. I think those kind of heroes actually fare very well versus anti-mage. Even if he gets pulled and starts off with a poor man shield and a couple sets of regen, he can get harassed out, and you can just simply shut down his farm just by the 600 range right click. The power of that is not to be underestimated, and I think that people have been starting to overestimate Dragon Knight. I think he's still definitely a tier 1 solo mid, but he doesn't work in every situation.
Yeah, it's not like Lifestealer was in the previous patch, where no matter what, you see Lifestealer in the pool, you pick Lifestealer.
Same with Bat.
Yeah, it's still the same for Bat.
Oh yeah, that's
and
true.
It's somewhat still the same for Lifestealer. Albeit, in some situations, the open wounds nerf hurts him, but in this case, definitely
Who needs
not the
open
case.
wounds?
Yeah, but
Skillet.
that's one way to deal with the nerf. I think that was very cute and clever. RNG Sports, they'll take game number 3. And now they're trailing only 1 game in the best of 5, but they need to win 2 in a row.
Right. It was a good draft, though. I think the anti-mage pick was just like, well, what do we do now?
Tongfu thought they knew what was going to happen. They could have first picked anti-mage. They said, we're going to take or they could have banned it. They said, we're going to take Shadow Demon, and if you go anti-mage, we'll punish it. They just didn't bank on the solo mid anti-mage, and it completely ruined their draft.
I like the aggressive play out from Orange. They got to like a very good start with the first blood, and they like continued to apply pressure the whole game in all 3 lanes, trying to take down all these towers. They didn't farm with Mushi. They again try to fight with this carry, which is very atypical, especially for Eastern teams. But they played it very, very well.
In the end, Orange Esports, they take game number 3, and that means, ladies and gentlemen, hang on to your hats. We're headed to a game number 4. Stay tuned. It's Orange trailing Tongfu 1-2. If they win 2 in a row, they go to the grand finals where DK is waiting. Else, it'll be Tongfu game 4 after this.